What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Lil Mackie Roth, aka Me Too. And yeah, man, hope y'all doing good today. I'm doing pretty good today. If my glasses weren't crooked, it'd be a better day. But I'm doing good today, man. Hope y'all doing great. Yeah, like I said, my name's Lil Mackie Roth. I just sit here and make reaction content. I just kind of react to shit. They usually kind of align with like video games or music, really, or like music related topics. But I just react to whatever I want, really. So yeah, just kind of talk my shit. So if you like that kind of shit, like that kind of content, stick around. Maybe you like me talking shit, and you might consider subscribing or leaving a link or leave a comment or what do do or I don't know. But yeah. Yeah, so today's going to be no different. I'm going to be reacting to another video, but it's actually going to be a video from somebody named SunnyV2, which I'm pretty sure I've reacted to a video of theirs before, but yeah, it's going to be talking about the slow, painful, greedy death of Angry Birds, which I'm very interested in because low-key, I still be playing Angry Birds from time to time. I play the second because it came out with the Angry Birds 2, so I've been playing that, and it just feels just so classic. Feels like just classy little Angry Birds when I was a kid. Just gives me that nostalgic feel. So very interested into seeing what like the death of Angry Birds, because I don't know, I kind of just stopped playing it when I turned like 14, 15, and I was just going outside more, hanging out with friends and shit. So I didn't really play it just too much. And I know it sounds stupid because you're like, well, it's a mobile game you play, but you get what I'm saying. Like I didn't sit there and like play mobile games that much, I was just doing other shit. So yeah, I don't know, I played it for a little bit, thought it was cool, would go back to it from time to time, but not really. And so yeah, I just thought it kind of just stayed successful, especially considering the fact that they had a movie about this fucking game, they came out with a second game, they've had plushies, they had arcade versions of this fucking game. Like, I thought this game was extremely successful, so I'm very interested in what SunnyV2 means by the slow, painful death of this of our beloved Angry Birds. So yeah, as always, the link to this video will be in the description below, so make sure y'all go ahead and check that out and show the original creator some love. And as far as me, stick around if you like this kind of content. Consider leaving me a like and subscribe, and let's just get right to it, man. The slow, painful, and greedy death of Angry Birds. Let's go.
Back in 2011, Angry Birds was everywhere. They had multiple different games, toys, and movies, generating hundreds of millions of dollars. But by 2019, they were firing masses of staff, and since then things have only gotten worse. Perhaps it's just karma for stealing the initial idea. Angry Birds wasn't an original concept. In April 2009, a game was released named Crush the Castle, which required players to fire a trebuchet into wooden structure hiding medieval people. Well, 8 months later, in December 2009, game developer Rovio made an app named Angry Birds, which, while clearly being a rip-off, was better in every way. It had cooler, cleaner animated graphics, and different stages, each with different levels. You got points for every enemy killed, and points for every bird you didn't use, giving players the chance to compete for high scores.
Dude, I fucking miss this game. This game was so fun. You know, it's another game that I really enjoyed. They kind of had like the Angry Birds like formula to it. It used to be on the Nickelodeon website. If y'all old motherfuckers like me that are like in their like mid-20s, if y'all remember, okay, Disney Cartoon I don't know, they probably still do have the websites around, and they probably have like the newer games for the newer shows that are up. But in my time, okay, when I was a teenager, all right, and not even a teenager, like a younger kid too, Disney, Cartoon Network, and Nickelodeon all had websites for you to play little flash games of all your favorite shows, right? Like each one of your shows had their own little flash games, couple of flash games, whatever, and they were so fucking fun. But there's one I always enjoyed the most for whatever reason. It's the most simplest game. It had the same concept of Angry Birds, right? Where you just kind of like you have a catapult, and then you would launch like cannonballs and like different shit to the opposite tower to try to knock it down. But it was I don't know if a lot of people remember this. It was Avatar: The Last Airbender themed, right? And what it was, and when you would load the game first, right, you click play game, and then it would have the four elements or like the four nations you could choose from: fire, wind, earth and water, right? And you pick one. You pick a nation, and and then it would have like the AI or the computer, whatever, would pick its like the opposite nation for you to face. And so like you pick, like for me, I always picked fire. So I had the fire nation would verse the earth nation or whatever, and then each side would have their turn, and each side would launch like special cannonballs to the other side, and each side had a health bar, and you were just trying to get, the first one with a depleted health bar would die, right? And so the last one standing would win. But it was cool because you would have like different versions of the cannonball. You would have like the normal, for me, I always played the Fire Nation, so you always get the normal fireball, or you get the 3 burst fireball that you would shoot in the air. Then as it went like to its peak height, it would shatter, and then it would just rain down smaller fireballs, so you would for sure get a hit for less damage. Or you had like an actual fire beam or whatever. Like, it was cool as fuck, I remember that was like a classic game I loved playing on the Nickelodeon website when I was a kid. It was so fucking fun, man. Dude, I miss those times were so fucking fun.
5 different birds with 5 different abilities, as well as a cool catchy soundtrack, and it's easy to see that Angry Birds was better. They developed 51 games prior to Angry Birds, none of which saw even the smallest bit of success. Therefore, when Angry Birds took only 2 months to become the #1 paid app in 60 countries, they understandably took the chance to milk it, then make loads of different varieties like Angry Birds Seasons, Angry Birds Space, and Angry Birds Star Wars.
I remember Angry Birds Space. I played that one a lot.
In Apple's App Store with 6 to 7 million paid downloads. By the end of Angry Birds' first year, they'd made $10 million, but players still demanded more. We have so many fans who have asked for the plush toys, so these are going to be available in a couple of weeks, and we're really trying to build Angry Birds into this entertainment franchise. It took only 4 months before they'd announce 60,000 Angry Birds soft toys have been sold, as the game itself became the best-selling paid app of all time. Within Angry Birds itself, they'd implement microtransactions like Mighty Eagle, which allowed players to pay to clear entire levels. With celebs like Justin Bieber even advocating for it, Angry Birds made $100 million in 2011 and went from 28 employees in the beginning of the year to 224 employees by the end of 2011. 5 months later, they set a new world record. First mobile game series to reach 1 billion downloads. They'd double their revenue again by the end of 2012, at which point they started to face a serious problem. The game was getting stale. They'd made multiple different Angry Birds versions, but hadn't changed the concept in over 3 years. As a result, in the following year, their profits more than halved, with Angry Birds falling to 59th in the App Store, forcing the franchise to try a new format. They'd release Angry Birds Go at the end of 2013, and while this was somewhat of a Mario Kart ripoff, people absolutely loved it.
So, it's fun. Wait, what? Dude, I would have played the shit out of this. I didn't know this was a thing. What? Dude, I love like Mario Kart ripoffs of just like games that rip off Mario Kart. They're so fun because is it really a ripoff of Mario Kart? It's literally just a racing game of your favorite characters. All you have to do is just put a different franchise of characters in the as the racers, and then boom, like it's fun. It's just a racing game. Like I don't know if there's much you could rip from Mario, but I don't know what's the point of me saying that. I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't really consider it a... Jeez, I thought I saw something fly past my fucking face. That scared the shit out of me. Anyways, I didn't know this existed. I love games that are basically Mario Kart, but just different characters. I would have loved the shit out of this. Dude. I used to play the Crash Bandicoot game that was what was it called? Like Nitro Team Racing or something like that. It was like Crash Bandicoot Nitro Team, something like that. That was my shit. I like that way more than Mario Kart. Well, only because I also didn't have a Nintendo at the time, so I was forced to play the Crash Bandicoot version. Still fantastic, by the way. This I would have creamed, bro. I didn't know this was a thing. Fuck. I'm actually kind of mad. I actually missed out.
And while this was somewhat of a Mario Kart ripoff, people absolutely loved it.
So, it's fun. It is good fun. It looks good. It plays well.
Professional reviewers gave it 7.7, while people on Reddit called it their favorite Angry Birds game, and perfection at its finest. Rovio therefore continued to experiment, releasing an RPG game named Angry Birds Epic, which again received incredible reviews, rating the latest Angry Birds title is a welcome addition to a franchise which hasn't seen much much change since its inception back in 2009. Similarly, users said it might be the best RPG title I've ever played.
And honestly, a pretty solid time. I think the approach they went with here really worked and paid off.
The only problem was, these games didn't sell merch like the original Slingshot format. Therefore, merchandise sales plummeted, while total 2014 revenue dropped, and profits fell 73% to 10 million euros. As a result, media outlets reported, Rovio lays off 110 people as Angry Birds hype fades, representing 14% of the company's workforce. They try to fix their decline with yet another experiment, Angry Birds Pop, which was pretty unsuccessful. In a Reddit thread asking out of all the Angry Birds games, which one do you think is the worst, Pop was mentioned many times over. Therefore, they'd go back to basics and put out Angry Birds 2, the official sequel, although many called it a downgrade from the original. The sequel was filled to the brim with microtransactions, clearly annoying the fanbase who wrote, "This is a very greedy game that keeps sucking money out of you. If you play well, the game becomes harder and harder until it's impossible, and then you either have to replay each level 10 times or buy gems. The game is just trying to throw you off balance and get under your skin so that you pay more." The official IGN review said the game took significant steps backward for the massively popular series. Angry Birds 2 is missing key parts of what made previous games so universally compelling to gamers both hardcore and casual, young and old. Still, due to its intense monetization, Angry Birds 2 became their highest earning game. Surprisingly, however, that very same year, they'd announced losses of almost 15 million and would fire a further third of their workforce, this time being over 200 people. This seemed to imply that Angry Birds was dead until they'd make an unexpected comeback. Turns out they'd spent the previous 3 years privately developing the Angry Birds movie.
The movie
At a
was
cost of
fire,
73
bro.
million, they'd made a risky bet, but with a star-studded cast and a fun little story, the Angry Birds movie did surprisingly well. It made over 350 million from its 70 million budget.
I was part of that shit, dude. I fucking loved the Angry Birds movie, bro. It was so fucking funny. There's a part of the movie that genuinely made me crack up. What the fuck was it? I can't think of it now. Fuck, dude. Damn it. I hate whenever I bring shit up because I'm always like, oh, I don't remember it. But dude, it was, what part was it? Fuck, I can't remember. I think it was during the battle or something where they were trying to defend the castle or whatever. And I think it had something to do, it was some scene with the yellow bird and then the bomb bird, and I forgot. I think the bomb bird said something that was stupid or some shit like that. It just got a cheap laugh out of me, but it was a good laugh. But either way, the movie was great. I loved that movie. I was a part of this 352 billion. I was probably this $9 right here. this would be right here. This would be right here. Because my movie theater's a bitch and they charged me a fuck ton to see a movie. This was probably me right here. This $9.
And put Angry Birds back into the public spotlight. People began replaying their previously released games, while Angry Birds theme parks popped up in different countries.
Oh,
Media
that's pretty
outlets
sick.
reported Rovio Games had its best year ever in 2016.
This is just confirmation that deadass 2016 was the best year. Even Rovio admits it. It was their best year.
However, the gaming releases that Angry Birds was known for was still declining in quality. In his video, I played and ranked every Angry Birds game so you don't have to, Jake Miller talks about Angry Birds Action.
Angry Birds Action was the start of using the new anthropomorphic designs from the movies in their games, which I think most fans agree was the real beginning of the end for the series.
Which happened to be the first game after the
Low-key.
movie. Similarly, in the Reddit thread asking about the worst Angry Birds game, one user implied it was most of them after the movie's release. Said games included Angry Birds Fight, aka a Candy Crush ripoff, as well as Angry Birds Match, which was described as extremely bland. However, thankfully for Rovio, their older titles were still extremely popular, with Angry Birds 2's revenue growing 47% in 2018, despite it being over 3 years old. This gave them the budget to make a second movie. However, their $65 million bet didn't pay off so well this time. Forbes wrote Angry Birds 2 is worse than the original in nearly every way, whilst Rotten Tomatoes critics added a distressingly ineffective sequel that grows less and less interesting and more tiresome as it unfolds.
Oof, that fucking sucks. I don't think I saw the second movie. Yeah, I guess that kind of makes sense. I didn't hear too many people talk. I didn't really made a second movie, honestly. Which, like I said, it makes sense. If it's that bad, oh, fuck. The fact that I didn't even hear of it, because usually I feel like people are just kind of like, and like, especially Rotten Tomatoes, just kind of like shit talking most movies, and they always find some issue with most movies, but I usually end up hearing about them like at some point. You know, at some point in their future, not too far ahead. But the fact that I didn't know that they even made a second movie until right now, yeah, it probably wasn't. I honestly probably wasn't that good. Fuck, man, that's crazy. I fucking love this franchise, dude. I thought I used to have a plushie. I used to have the yellow one. He was, oh no, it wasn't a plushie. You know what I had actually? He didn't even mention here. They made dog toys out of the Angry Birds shit too, because I bought my dog because this was like, I got my dog in 2011. She was born in 2011. And yeah, around then she was like a little puppy. So I was like always buying her like toys and shit. And they had that little yellow. He's always been my favorite bird too. That little yellow triangle one, that speed bird. They had a little. Oh shit! I just did like this, dude. Call me Jay-Z. But they had that I can't speak. Jeez, that little yellow bird as a dog toy, and it was a squeak toy. And like every time you'd squeeze it, you squeak, squeak, squeak. And I remember, yeah, I used to always play with that toy with my little dog because I always loved throwing him and imagining it as the actual, bird from the game and make him go flying. And she loved it, but she tore that motherfucker apart. He was definitely cheaply made. He was all plastic and shit, plastic and rubber. So she tore his ass apart after maybe a year of him, and then we threw him away. But they did make dog toys out of this too. He didn't bring up, so that was the thing. I miss Angry Birds.
Still, the movie made a profit of $82 million, right as the company was making some weird changes. Despite their older games being low maintenance, Rovio decided to completely stop updating them. Then, without explanation, some of the older beloved titles, including the original Angry Birds, were deleted from the App Store. When people began to talk about what they'd done, people made compilations stating Angry Birds was dead. There were comments like, "Remember when Rovio actually cared?" whilst hashtag BringBack2012 began to trend on Twitter. Things got so bad that Rovio apologized, stating they only did it as maintaining the highest quality of updates and live operations isn't possible with our older games. In response to the backlash, that announced they planned on redeveloping Angry Birds Classic, which was re-released on the App Store in 2022, but at a price of $1.99 with no in-game purchases. They changed Classic's name to Red's First Flight, making it harder to find in the App Store, thus prompting players to buy the newer, more profitable games. This successfully fooled some people who struggled to find it on the App Store.
Yo, wait, hold on, that's kind of shitty though. Why? The original game was free, and so you're charging people $2 to get the classic version with no ads. You put a price on it. Why not just name it Angry Birds Classic? That's so shitty. That is low-key pretty fucking shitty, bro. Why?
They changed Classic's name.
What's the point of charging people and then being mad that they're gonna buy it and they're not gonna have any ads on it? So you just change the name so it's not, so people won't find it. Because who the fuck is gonna type in Red's First Flight ever? Just off the whim, be like, nobody's gonna think of that. They're just gonna think Angry Bird. Nobody knows these niggas' names. They just know them as Red Bird, Black Bird, Yellow Bird, Green Pig. That's it. That's shitty, bro. That's shitty. That, you can't argue that they didn't do that shit on purpose. That is so shitty. Just because they didn't want you to get the paid version with no microtransactions. That's, man, don't even make a fucking new version then if that's what you're gonna do. What the fuck?
To Red's First Flight, making it harder to find in the App Store, thus prompting players to buy the newer, more profitable games. This successfully fooled some people who struggled to find it on the App Store. However, others knew exactly what Angry Birds was doing. They got rid of the old ones so that you would have no other choice than to play the modern Candy Crush-esque games. They despised the games that made the company and so lost its spirit. Rovio basically confirmed this, openly stating they changed the name due to the game's impact on our wider games portfolio. They further requested that fans continue to bring that passion to our live Angry Birds Slingshot games, such as Angry Birds 2, however players weren't too happy. We hope those fans can continue to bring that passion to our other games which have been designed to be more psychologically manipulative and stuffed with more microtransactions. Fixed it for you. The drama was so severe,
Honestly,
it
dude,
seemingly
what the
halted any
fuck?
future games, as Angry Birds Classic is still the most recent title, released way back in 2022. In 2023, Rovio was sold to Sega, although this has done little to fix their reputation. One recent tweet expressed, "I very much still love Angry Birds. That said, the current state of it is dog shit. My hope for the franchise is at an all-time low right now. I'll just continue to enjoy what I love about it, but it's sad to see what it's become. Despite everything, Angry Birds isn't finished, as they just announced they're making a third movie, although with the rest of the franchise in decline, its performance might be interesting."
What I have in my hands is
Okay, that was quick.
Back in 2011,
damn, man. Damn. Yeah, I don't know. In my opinion, dude, if you're going to go out of your way to like listen to because people were like the whole, bring back 2012, right? So like to get people off your back, you were like, you know what? Okay, let's give the people what they want. Let's feed the people. Let's give them the classic version. All right. So you do that, but you don't have to. By the way, you deadass did not have to do that. You could have just been like, yeah, guys, sorry. Buy the new one. You want to play Angry Birds so bad? Get the new one. Get the new one. Deal with the microtransactions. It is what it is. You're not gonna. 2012 was 10 years ago. You're not going back. We're not going back. Here's the new shit. Play it or don't. But because they're not going to do that, because Rovio seems like a company that's just in it for the money, and they're just always looking for the new way to get the most money, they're like, you know what? If the people want the classic version, let's make the classic version in exactly the way they want it. Make them pay $2 for it, and then no ads. It's just straight game. And then they released it, and people were happy, and then they realized, oh, fuck. People buy this. We're not going to make any money off of it. Everybody's going to pay the $2, and that's it. Okay, well, fuck it. Just change the name, and then we won't talk about it. And then they get called out for it, and then they're like, yeah, we did that, but like, don't buy the classic version, just play the new shit. Like, if you're gonna be like that, dude, don't even make the fucking classic version. Just stick with the original and maybe add like a classic mode to the original. That's what they should have done if that's what they really, because at least it would have made it less shitty and they still would have got their way, right? They would just make, okay, download Angry Birds 2. You do, it's free, but you deal with all the microtransactions, whatever. But we're gonna put in a classic mode where it's all the classic levels and shit just redone on the new Angry Birds 2 like software, whatever you want to call it, development, whatever the fuck it's called, the fucking the engine, whatever the fuck it's called, dude, on the new infrastructure that builds Angry Birds 2. Play the classic version, but just on Angry Birds 2, but there's a mode called classic mode, and boom, people would have got Angry Birds 2. People would still be tempted with those microtransactions. Y'all could make your money, and people would still have been happy because they got their classic mode back. But no, you made a second game, realized that people were going to buy that game and never play your other ones, and then just changed the name and then said, yeah, we changed it. Don't download that. Play our new shit. Like, just so shitty, bro. It's that's so scammy and so skeezy. But jeez, man. All right, well, yeah, man, that's that for this video, man. Yeah, I fucking a third movie already. I haven't even heard of the second one until now. I don't have faith that the third movie is going to be that good, but however, I'm still going to go out of my way to go see it because it is such a classic franchise, dude, especially for me in my childhood. I gotta see what's going on with it. But yeah, man, that's been me. That's been Lil Mackie Rob. If you like this kind of content, leave a like, consider subscribing. Make sure you check the description below. Come back over here to Sunny V2, show him some love, leave him a like, all that good stuff. And yeah, man, I'll catch you on the next one. Deuces.